Hi, folks. Welcome back to Crisco's Corner. Here's something else from Just the News. It's a really good website. JustTheNews.com. I suggest people go to it. This is something disturbing. They talk about, well, there's no evidence of, the F word, F-R-A-U-D. There's no evidence. Can't use the word, of course, because the algorithms pick it up, and this video might be taken down. But this is something very interesting. All these little pieces of the puzzle all have to point to something. In key swing states this year, mail-in ballot rejections plummeted from 2016 rates. And of course, 2016 was the year Donald Trump won the presidency. Rates are below historic average and significantly less than most recent presidential election. Fascinating. How does that go? I'll start a YouTube channel that says things that make you go, Mail-in ballot rejection in multiple battleground states have this year been significantly lower than both the historical average rejection rate as well as the rate seen in most recent presidential election. Mail-in ballots normally have a much higher rejection rate than in-person voting, largely due to the inevitable errors, forgotten signatures, misplaced addresses, and properly marked ballots that arise when a large number of people attempt to vote relatively unsupervised. I'm not even going to comment on the unsupervised part. Historically, mail-in ballots are rejected around the rate of 1%. For the first time absentee voters, the rate can go as high as 3%. The higher number reflecting the unfamiliarity first-time voters have with the mail-in process. All right, that makes sense. Many experts and commentators predicted potentially huge numbers of rejected ballots ahead of the 2020 election, citing the much higher than average numbers of mail-in voters this year. Seems logical, including the countless first-time mail-in voters. Yeah. Here's the thing. They sent out tens of millions of ballots. People have been registered for years. And they're not voting. That tells you they don't want to vote. So all these tens of millions of ballots just out in the air, just out in the country, they all ended up somewhere, or a large portion of them did. Things that make you go, Concerns arose in the weeks before the election that rejected ballots could play a decisive role in the outcome of the election. Particularly, they were projected to be slanted heavily in favor of Democratic challenger Joe Biden. Are they trying to imply that first-time voters that vote for Democrats are stupid? Well, I don't know. You think about it yourself. Yeah, ballot rejections thus far have been lower across the United States this year than expected, with battleground states posting strikingly lower numbers relative to both the historic average and more recent elections. Things that make you go, In Georgia, for instance, a state in which Democrat Joe Biden eked out a surprise lead over fewer than 20,000 votes over Donald Trump, the rejection rate in 2016 was a whopping 6.4%, according to U.S. data. This year, the rejection rate in the state stands at 0.2. Look at that. That's 0.2, not 2.0, 0.2. That, folks, is 32 times less than normal for that state from the last presidential election. 32 times smaller. Unbelievable. More than 30 times lower than the last election, according to the U.S. Elections Project, an election data site run by the University of Florida political science professor Michael McDonald that draws his figures from state reports. Similar trends have been observed in Pennsylvania, whose rate was 0.03. It wasn't even 0.2. This is 0.03 compared to 1% in 2016. In Nevada, the rejection rate more than halved from 1.6 in 2016 to 0.75. North Carolina's rate fell from 2.7 to 0.8. That's 3.5 times less. Things that make you go, law's real changes may have played a role in lower rates. In Michigan, meanwhile, the most recently reported rejection rate posted just before the election was around 0.1. The rate in 2016 was 0.5. That number may increase. A Michigan state official told Just the News that election officials are still compiling statewide data on the election. Yet Tracy Wimmer, a spokesman for the Michigan Secretary of State's office, told Just the News that the state is expecting a reduction in rejected ballots after the Michigan legislature passed a law requiring clerks to notify voters if their signature was an issue, either missing or mismatched, with their absentee ballot to ensure they understood how to cure it. And therein lies what everybody thinks is most of these lawsuits are about. These lawsuits, the vast majority that are being filed now, concern the election from the Trump campaign. I'm not sure what entity is technically paying these lawyers. It's not the fact that people voted. It's not about the FRAUD word. It's about the fact that people voted in person, either early voting or on election day, weren't giving the same rights and opportunities as these people here about curing their signature or other things that are wrong with it. How to cure your signature. It's a two-tier system. You can't have one vote be put up over another by the rules. The 14th Amendment. That's how Bush won in Florida. Bush v. Gore, 2000. It's so clear that it's incredible. I'm not even a lawyer. The curing window is available until 8 p.m. on Election Day, she added. And 6 missing or mismatched signatures usually count for one of the largest percentages of rejections. We expect those will go down this year. Signature fixes would likely only explain a portion of the sharp drop in rejections. It's not the point. That means they all should be chucked. That's just my opinion. Now, I am no expert on the law, election law by state or federal government, but I think the decision in 2000 was perfectly clear, crystal clear, that ballots treated differently is unconstitutional. Signature fixes will likely only explain a small portion. Yeah, we went through that. Assuming those numbers held steady for this election, the legislative rule change will only account for 1/4 of the roughly 71% reduction in rejected this year. Things that also make you go, Daniel Smith, a political science professor at the University of Florida, suggested that the increased rejection rate should be looked at in light of the wide range of new ballot policies put in place this year, as well as efforts by community organizers. Remember who used to be a community organizer? To assist voters with ballots. Every indication in the several states I've analyzed is that the initial rate of rejected mail ballots was not lower than the 2020 general election, but that the cure rate was much higher. You're not allowed a cure rate. Once you cast that ballot, you can't go back and change it and fix it. If there's something wrong with it, it has to be rejected. I know that sounds cruel. I know that sounds harsh. It's not disenfranchising people. You have to have rules. And there are reasons for the rules because of the criminal activity that may come from that. And the FRAUD, that comes from that. This was a result of litigation, which resulted in voters in several states to have more opportunities and time to correct mistakes with their return envelopes or security sleeves, but also the work on the ground by the parties and voting rights organizations to directly notify voters who had problems with their ballots that they had an opportunity to cure them. I saw a photograph and an article. People bringing their ballots door to door to cure them with a voter. You can't do that. That vote now becomes void. That's just not my opinion. That's the opinion of people a lot smarter than me that went to law school and are judges. It's unrefrigerated fish here, folks. Things that make you go, Supreme Court in late October, meanwhile, ruled that both Pennsylvania and North Carolina could continue counting ballots received after Election Day. Well, yeah, because they didn't have a full court. Allowing North Carolina 9 extra days and Pennsylvania 3. Late delivered ballots are another frequent source of rejection. In Michigan's breakdown of rejected ballots, the largest share of rejections were due to late receipt. I know this sounds mean. I know this sounds cruel. It's not because I'm a Republican. It's not because I'm a Trump supporter. I would say this no matter what. Early voting I could probably live with as long as it's not forever. 2 or 3 weeks is a little much. Maybe 3 or 4 days plus election day. In other words, maybe the Thursday prior to election day through Sunday. Have Monday for the election board to get their stuff together, and Tuesday is regular election day. I can live with that. What I can't live with is ballots coming in, even post-dated November 3rd, because we all know we got reports of what could go on. And even if it's not true, the potential for that is so high, backdating envelope, because you can see it's a ballot, it's clear as day, in the post office by some individuals. It doesn't take that many. As we can see, 10, 20,000 sways the whole state in a presidential election. And that's not even counting the local races, the congressional races, the governor's races, and the U.S. senators' races, which the numbers are actually smaller. It's too much potential for that kind of thing. Once they are not received by the Board of Elections or their collection facility by close of business or close of polls on November 3rd, which was this year's election day, they can't be counted. There are rules and deadlines for a reason, just to avoid this craziness. I know it sounds mean, but it's an important thing. It's so important that you leave as little opening as you can for the FRAUD. It's the way it has to be. Just the rules in place just for that. And that's always been the rule. And it should remain the rule. And it's a shame that it's not. Now you can see the ballot here is from Wilkes-Barre City. Those of you listening, that's in Pennsylvania. I live just above the Pennsylvania border in upstate New York in Binghamton. We're about 10 miles, 12 miles above, right in the center of the state, right directly above Syracuse. Wilkes-Barre is less than an hour from here. So I know right where it is. As you can see, there are many other people to vote for on there. And these ballots were everywhere. Everywhere. And you can see there's the envelope. No post is necessary. How sweet. How many of those are floating around? Doesn't take that many. 10, 20, 30,000 in the state with 6, 7 million votes cast. It's just too much of an opening for error. And the FRAUD word. You close as many loopholes as possible. No system is perfect, but you do the best you can. And they just opened it up and just didn't care. Supreme Court will probably rule, I'm sure. My personal opinion, I think anything received after November 3rd, whether post-dated that or not, should be invalid. If you care enough about your vote, if you care enough as a citizen to do your duty, I believe your obligation as a citizen to vote, that when you got that ballot, you would mail it in right away. That day, if not the next morning. Make sure that it gets there in plenty of time. Don't wait till the last minute. It's just too much unrefrigerated fish here, folks. Anyway, I think I'm going to name this episode Things That Make You Go, But there it is. God knows what else is going to happen. I hope, and President Trump was right. With the impeachment BS and all the Russian collusion and all that craziness, I'll tell you the truth. Even if you hate Donald Trump's guts, I get it. It's easy to dislike the guy. He's got some definitely personality flaws in the way he carries himself. That turns off people. I could care less, but a lot of people are turned off. Okay, that's fine. But you know what? This kind of thing is dangerous for the country. Very dangerous. And Donald Trump said it. I hope between the spying on his campaign and all the fake impeachment and now this stuff and COVID, and you list it all down the line, and the mainstream media pounding, he said, And I believe he believes it. I hope no U.S. president ever has to go through this again. And I believe he's sincere about it. Not only is it ridiculous, I think it's immoral, but it hurts the country. It hurts the country. And they have to stop. We'll see what the mainstream media does when they don't have Donald Trump to pound on anymore. We shall see. But until next time, goodbye and good luck.